an April breeze on the wings of spring, and you appear in all your splendor, my one and only love. The shadows fall and spread their mystic charm in the hush of night, while you're in my arms. I feel your lips so warm and tender, my one and only love. The touch of your hand is like heaven, a heaven that I've never known. The blush on your cheek whenever I speak tells me that you are my own. You fill my eager heart with such desire. Every kiss you give sets my soul on fire. I give myself in sweet surrender, my one and only love. I give myself in sweet surrender, my one and only love. Visit all the very gay places, those come what may places, where one relaxes on the axis of the wheel of life to get the feel of life, from jazz and cocktails. The girls I knew had sad and sullen gray faces with distant gay traces that used to be there. You could see where they'd been washed away by too many through the day. 12 o'clock tales. Then you came along with your siren song to tempt me to madness. I thought for a while that your poignant smile was tinged with the sadness of a great love for Ah, yes, I was wrong again. I was wrong. Life is lonely again, and only last year everything seemed so sure. Now life is awful again, a trough full of hearts could only be a in Paris, is the bite of it. All I care is to smile in spite of it. I'll forget you, I will, while yet you are still burning inside my brain. Romance is stifling those who strive. I'll live a life in some small I'll be while I rot with the rest of those whose lives are lonely. Your soul. I'll forget you, I will, while yet you are still burning inside my brain. Romance is much stifling those who strive. I live less life in some small delight, and there I'll be while I rot with the rain of those whose lives are too one lucky fool to be when there are other men with eyes of their own to see. Love does not stand a sharing, not if one cares. Have you been comparing my every kiss with theirs? If on the other hand I'm faithful to you, it's not through a sense of beauty. You are too beautiful, and I am a fool for you.
Thank you, members. I think we can get done with our breakfast in the next 5 minutes so that we proceed. Thank you.
The trees comes autumn with her serenade. Melody, the sweetest music ever played. Autumn kisses we move are beautiful souvenirs. As I pause to recall, the leaves seems to fall like tears. Silver stars clinging to an autumn sky. Love was ours until October wandered by. Let the years come and go, I'll still feel the glow that time cannot fade. When I hear that lovely autumn serenade.
So I think members that are outside can come in and we start. Allow me to welcome Professor Elizabeth Chizito to give a project overview. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome once again to this dissemination workshop where we are sharing with you, the community, the work that we have been doing with you. We hope that we will get your feedback. We hope that we will get your insights into ways forward. And we hope that, yes, the relationship will continue growing even into other areas. We're very blessed to have representatives from the Ministry of Energy, the Commissioner, sir. You're very welcome. A key stakeholder from Good Neighbors, you're welcome, sir. The Kao Mukono District, you're very welcome. And all protocol observed. Thank you for coming. Mine this morning is to give you an overview of a study we have just concluded, which was looking at the feasibility of the application of off-grid solar systems for education and training on an island in Lake Victoria. And in this instance, it is Kome Island. I need to give you a brief overview of UCU, especially for those who are here for the first time. Uganda Christian University is a private, not-for-profit university established by the Anglican Church in 1997, and we were the first private university to receive a charter in the country. We have campuses here at Mukono, 2 campuses, Arua and Kampala, and constituent colleges in Kabale and Imbale. We have different schools and faculties, which we hope that each one of you one day will enroll in at some point. It should not even be hard. At least we're even working for Kome Islanders to also enroll, because our courses are now online, especially postgraduate programs. You don't have to come physically here to do your postgraduate training, or some short courses, they are online. So we hope that in the near future, maybe in 2 years, God willing, 3, when the opportunity arises, when facilities and infrastructure allow, we would be able to have classes even from our farm. But as of now, wherever you are, you can enroll for any postgraduate program online, and you will have your classes because they run online. Okay. A brief introduction about the status of electrification in our country. We know that about 57% of people in the urban areas and 38% in rural areas have access to electricity. This is quite a low figure for a country that generates a lot of electricity. And we also know that we are highly dependent on biomass, charcoal, firewood, crop residues, and electricity contributes only 2% of what we need in terms of our energy needs. We can do better. And our economy is considered medium-sized, with agriculture contributing 24.1% to the GDP. And also, it is the biggest service sector. When we look at how in terms of energy, how much the sources that are the installed capacities, as mentioned before, of the people who are connected to who have access to electricity, the majority are connecting via hydroelectricity. Remember, which is contributing, was it like what percent? Very small percentage. And yet we have a big potential, for example, with renewable energies, which is the gray, slightly under the yellow. What is under yellow is thermal, but I'm sure the commissioner will give us even more updated information to this end. We have big potential to tap into solar energy, being that we are on the equator. So we have a good amount of sunlight throughout the year. That is a blessing that the Lord has given us. If you went to the northern hemisphere right now, especially the farther you go north, you may get 1 hour or 2 hours of sunlight in a day. But here we can get 11, 12 good amounts of sunlight. So the potential to tap into renewable energy is very big. So in terms of photovoltaic energy, which is solar, most of the people who are using it are connecting small systems to their homes, or mainly health centers or institutions of learning. There are quite a few mini grids. And the rate of dissemination of solar plants or through and the use through knowledge dissemination, especially in the education sector, is still very limited. I think this is one of the challenges which was even more highlighted during COVID, where we were all locked down as an education sector, and only those that could connect to electricity and in the end internet connectivity were able to continue with school. That disadvantaged people who come from hard to reach areas. For example, Kome Island, which is an island, it is not connected to the national grid. It became a challenge for children to go to school on top of their already difficult geographical location. I think I have a map somewhere, but let me, where we shall look at this island. So these communities which have limited access to electricity became divided digitally. Whereas children on this side were going to school, they were doing Zoom, they were doing what? On the other side, it was seriously limited. So the children never managed to continue with school. And when children are not in school, the dropout rate even gets higher because they need to keep engaged. They need to keep motivated to continue, have a program, to have structure in their lives. And this is what school can do. So we see this in an increase in school dropout. The impact, therefore, is big, especially for meeting the sustainable development goals, access to education. You know, these children, therefore, cannot compete at the same level with people from the mainland. They're already at a great disadvantage in that sense. So it would affect when it comes to employment, when it comes to information sourcing, when it comes, there's such a big divide which came with the COVID. So in light of this, we submitted a proposal together with our counterparts from the University of Applied Sciences in New Ulm, Germany, and we got an initial support to start our engagement, and then eventually from GIZ to do a feasibility study to see what is possible. And this presentation will come in 2 parts. I'll just give you the overview, and Dr. Miriam will continue with the more technical information of the feasibility, the economics of trying to establish a solar mini grid at Kome Island. Kome is an island that straddles the equator, somewhere near the equator. It has 17 islands, though not all of them are habited. It has 29 villages, and 80% of the revenue is contributed to from fishing, and quite a lot of deforestation has taken place. So when you also think of other energy sources where biomass is the leading contributor, it has also declined. They probably don't have as much biomass as they already had. So we initially did a preliminary assessment, which was last year, around November. And we wanted to look at the factors that would hinder solar energy installations on the island, what would influence digital learning, and what we could, how can we factor in sustainability issues if a system is ever established on this island, in terms of the leadership, the consumer acceptance, the ownership? What would it take for a system to be established there? So just a few images and some of our counterparts from the University of New Ulm, and the cow, you can see her there as we are interacting in the community on Kome Island last year. So what did we mainly achieve at that time? We had stakeholder workshops at the district level and different interviews with specific people to gain, and here we gain knowledge about the sector and the funding possibilities. We did community engagement workshops right from the community in Kome, which entailed the LCs, religious leaders, opinion leaders, some cultural leaders, and there we were able to uncover their needs. We also met officials in the Ministry of Energy, and there was some interaction with GIZ, the local office here. And so this is what triggered the second. From this initial study, we asked then, how can universities participate as key players in integrating learning opportunities through rural electrification? For example, in developing learning materials, in establishing frameworks that would enable the communities to access sustainable energy. And this is how we came to this project in Kome Island. So the objective of this study was to assess the potential for digital teaching program for children and young adults that is particularly practical in design and based on local economic opportunities. We also wanted to establish or to develop a viable tariff or financial and ownership model that would enable UCU to raise funds for the installation of the system. We don't yet have the system. We still have to mobilize. We still have to look for partners who can work with us to ensure that the island is able to get solar energy, at least to support digital learning and other uses, especially productive use that can support when the children are out of school. So what were we anticipating? At that time, we were anticipating that we would get the much needed information so that we can be able to plan integrated systems for islands, for Kome, that would enable the attraction of funding for this kind of a project. Remember, Kome is very unique in its geography with 17 islands, 14 are habited. So that creates its own challenge in the way, one, children are able to go to school. You have to sit in a boat and row across to another island if you need to access. They have only one secondary school. So they have to row in a boat to that school and those kinds of things. So we also wanted to, we want to see how we can build capacity, technical and political, and even within the university in solar technology applications and its adoptions, especially in rural areas, hard to reach areas. We also wanted to be able to appreciate the synergies, partnerships in sectors such as IT, energy, education, in this respect. So we did a situation analysis, which is contributing to this feasibility study. That was this year, between August and September. We went to 5 parishes: Bugombe, Busanga, Omolo, Mubembe, and Sanja. We engaged the community and did a field survey. And the key deliverables here would be a report and this workshop where we are sharing with you our findings so that we can put our heads together and look for how do we get the next level of partnerships to come and establish mini grids or solar systems that would support education and other productive use on Kome Island. So these are an overview of the findings. We were able to reach 537 adults in the 5 parishes. The average age of the respondents was about 36 years, and the average household size is 4. This gives you an idea. It's a relatively young population on these islands. Still to attest to this, you find that the majority are between 28 and 37 years. That is 37%. Still a very young population there. And the majority of them are married. That is 69.3 are married. And that about 31% have less than primary or no education at all. That is the figure. I'm combining the 25.9 and the 9.1 above. And those who have attained, at least a good number have attained O-level, which is a very good thing. So they would have a good appreciation for education, the education cause. Still very few have accessed tertiary, secondary and tertiary. So that also becomes our task as a university to see if we can get many more people at least attaining tertiary education from Kome. Well, this is a figure which is supposed to be showing us the number of the presence of children. We asked these households if they had school-going children, and there were about 338 school-going children in these 537 persons that we interrogated. 37% their children are not yet in school. That means they still have very big young population, which is below 6 years. 37% of that, it's something to a big number, just to think of it. In terms of household characteristics, as mentioned before, over 70% have 6 members in their households. And in terms of monthly income, most or the majority earn between 100 and 300,000 Uganda shillings in a month. We have very few exceptions who are earning more than 5 million. There's a very small segment of that population. And yet you also still have those who are earning far less, 50,000 in a month, about 10% of them. Compared with the national I wanted to compare that with the national statistic. Maybe that will be for another day. In terms of main income sources, you can see that the majority of them are in fish. Either they are fishing or doing some fishmongering, or they are grading. Others are in retail and wholesale business. That's where most of them fall. Some are in service-based industries. That's about 11, still a very small section of them. Kome has one of the best resorts in the country. For those that love holidaying, now that we're in a holiday season, please plan to support Kome. and go for a holiday. They're very beautiful islands there with beaches. Other household characteristics, many of them are into agro-processing, which is a good sign because the more you have these, the more they can be able to support a system. Because education is not consuming the electricity all the time, these are people who can even pay a little higher in terms of sustainability to keep the system going. So many do coffee, there's rice, and there's also milk processing. And these are some pictures that we were able to take. Fishing activities, many of them are still drying in very substandard. So there's even a level that can be raised in terms of fish processing. They do a lot of meal. There is some milling that happens there. It can be better also. The applications of solar are mainly at the high school, which was supported by, I think, Uganda Communications Commission. They have some solar, and that is the picture on your left. And on the right, there's a system on the health center. And I'm sure Miria will talk more about these installations and their capacities. Other information in terms of in the household characteristics, we asked them what kind of gadgets they have. And you see that percentage, a mobile phone, at least 41% have a mobile phone. We did not ask whether it was smart or not, but at least they have a mobile phone. 30% have a radio and 21% have access to a TV, which is very, for a young population, I'll be shocked if they didn't have a phone. So it's good that they are into technology. But you can also see that they have little investments in, for example, saloon. These are also other income generating opportunities, and these are opportunities that would enable them to use more electricity. So they are limited in what they can invest in because of poor electricity access. We asked them about their lighting. Where is the source of lighting in these homes? Most of them have these small solar systems and they use solar bulbs. The majority of them have 2 or 3 bulbs in their homes. We've not presented all the data that we collected. We also picked their satisfaction levels with the lighting that they have, these small solar systems that they are using. Most of them were not too happy with the systems. So it means that there's room for improvement here. Okay. This is the graph that I was showing earlier, the number of children in these households. 63% are school going, 37% are not. So that means that there's a whole big population waiting to start school, which is almost a half. 37 is a big percent. We asked them how much time the bulbs light in a night. Over 50% say their bulbs work for up to 5 hours. So if you switch on by 7 p.m., by 11, you're blacking out, essentially. That's not good enough, especially if you want your children to read a little more in the evenings. So the majority of the school-going children used solar bulbs for reading. Some of them are using torches or a mobile phone. The torch of a mobile phone to read is a very difficult. I can't imagine the stress just to read a book using a torch. There are few who use candlelight or paraffin lamps. Some use a motorcycle. This is very innovative. They switch on their motorcycles to give light so that they're able to read, but it's a very uncomfortable. You can imagine the noise as you're trying to read, and only one had a generator at home. On average, 54% spend maximum 2 hours or less reading. These are children. So you know how much reading the children on the mainland do. When you think about it, and the children on the other side only have 2 hours, maybe with a torch or with very difficult circumstances. And therefore, I'm trying to highlight the need to support learning. You can only be as good as your foundation. If down there you've come up on a weak stand, when you get hit at S4, S6, P7, the disadvantage is already too big. I'd like to thank you for listening. That was a brief overview of the place that we are going to hear more about from Dr. Agonyo, in terms of the costings, in terms of the options that we have if we are to invest in a solar or a mini grid for Kome Island. And I'm hoping the discussions that ensue will be bringing our heads together. How do we move from here? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for that wonderful introduction. We know that, like I've already indicated, that as Professor said, the geographical location of Kome, it's spread across 17 highlands. So what specific mode of energy delivery can we think about? Because if you think about hydro, it can't work, because how could you spread the lines to those 17 highlands? So this process is for us to think. And I think as we disseminate, we also request you to give your views about the findings and the way forward. Now, before I invite Dr. Agonyo, we have Professor Elmer online. And yeah, I think I request that we give him opportunity to say something before Doctor comes in to present. Yes, Professor.
Yeah, hi, everyone. Good morning to all who are attending the conference in Uganda. So pleasure for me being invited and having the opportunity to send greetings from Germany. So my name is Elmar Steurer. I'm the Vice President of Research and Transfer at the Neu-Ulm University of Applied Sciences. And as Elisabeth mentioned, we had the common project concerning feasibility study to develop possibilities for off-grid solar facilities on selected islands in the Victoria Lake. Elizabeth mentioned the Kome Island. One of my research associates in Kenhoek attended a trip, a fact-finding mission to Kome Island last year. And now in September, the Uganda Research Group was invited by us to visit us in Neu-Ulm in Germany, and I was really happy to welcome Elizabeth with her team on our campus, and Elizabeth contributed with a marvelous presentation about the research findings of our project of Kome Island. So Elizabeth, thanks a lot for your activity, for your valuable input, and for the evidence you found out when it comes to electrification possibilities for Kome Island. So having said that, okay, pleasure for me to follow the conference more, and I would like to hand over to back to the chair of the conference.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, welcome, pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor. Wonderful speech. I would now like to invite Dr. I would now like to invite Dr. Gunyu to make a presentation of the feasibility study. Is it stepped out?
Maybe as she comes, are there any questions that could be ongoing as she prepares to come?
She's
here.
Yes. Dr. Gunyu, you're welcome to make your presentation. Hamad called for questions, but I think we can have the second presentation. Then the questions can come in later. Thank you.
Hope it's visible.
I think it will be visible. We'll try to. It's possible.
Okay, thank you. My name is Miria Gunyu. I will be presenting the technical part of this presentation. We did quite an amount of work, but there are also a number of things that we would need to complete this work. And I will show you in a short while. So in carrying out this assessment, the technical assessment, we follow the procedure that allows us to, first of all, of course, identify the project, which Professor Elizabeth has just presented. The identification basically began at that point when we saw the need for renewable energy to be utilized in education sector during the COVID time. We then went ahead to get demographic information about Kome Island. Initially, it was based on a consultation basis with the stakeholders from Kome. And later on, we actually went to Kome for that survey. During that survey, of course, we got some information that has helped us to come up with a preliminary design. We've also computed the demand for Kome based on the information that we got. We've done a basic engineering analysis and basic cost estimation. And again, I will explain why it's still at that level. The other part, the economic analysis, is lacking information because we still don't have information on where the potential grid could pass and all. And again, I'll highlight that. Allow me bring up some of the results that Professor Elizabeth highlighted that were used in developing this model. We had the demographic information. Here, we picked on the number of members in a household being 4. As you can see in this line of 4 to 6, you have quite a significant number, but also we referenced to the statistical abstract, which highlights the number of people in a household for urban areas. We also looked at the monthly income to give us an indication on people's willingness to pay for electricity, which again we'll highlight shortly. Also, with the results that we had, it was important to be able to appreciate the gadgets that are being used in these households, because we needed to simulate or come up with a demand, electricity demand, based on what they are utilizing. So we made reference to this information, but also it was important to look at what people had spent to purchase solar systems that are already existing. And we thought that would also give some relevant information in the model. The number of hours that people were using the solar lighting for was very critical in helping compute the demand, especially in the residential entities, but also in the commercial entities. When you looked at the shops, you looked at the restaurants, so you'd have to estimate the demand therein based on the activities, whether it's lighting, whether it's charging and the like. When you look at this graph on the right-hand side, it's very indicative of the leaning of energy source when it comes to lighting. And again, you see that a number of people are using solar bulbs. And again, as was already indicated in the previous presentation, you had at least more than 5 bulbs being used. Now, during the demand assessment, it was important to project what could be the market of electricity in Kome area. And so we broke down this information to sectors or subsectors, we choose to call it: the residential areas, the commercial centers, the institutional areas, and then we looked at productive use options. Under residential, we clustered it as households, and we didn't go so much in detail to say, okay, this is semi-structured or structured, but we looked at what does a household have in terms of energy demand. Then under commercial, we had the shops, the video points where people will be watching movies from. We had the restaurants, stroke eateries. There are places where people were considering as where they can eat from. Then for institution, we looked at the schools and the health center. Under productive use, we majorly looked at the mills that were used to grind, I think, maize, and I think there was one for rice, although we're not able to reach there physically. What was lacking here for some of this information under productive use was the information regarding the dairy part. How many people have these animals, how many are getting milk, how much of it is getting out of Kome to go to Mukono, how much is getting wasted, because that would then help us to determine what could be the potential demand for refrigeration in preserving milk. During this estimation, it was important that we make reference to historical data. Here we're looking at, first of all, the customers. How many customers do we have? So we're looking at the population information over time. And we used a growth rate of 2.6. From information that we got during our engagement with some officials in Kome, you had indicated that the population in Kome almost doubles between February and I think September. But we also made reference to Kome information, or rather Mukono information in terms of growth rate. And we saw that it's having 2.6, so we used 2.6. So these are some of the areas we'd like you to give us feedback on as we improve and finalize this work. Another thing that was critical to take into consideration was the system's estimated growth rate. Now, once we have put up a solar system, we need to estimate that a number of people will be using this system, but also we expect that over time, more people will want to have electricity and energy to use for their domestic purposes and any other purpose. So we couldn't get this figure because at the moment we don't have electricity in Kome, but we used information from Kalangala. because it simulates island communities. And now we have a hybrid system of solar and thermal in Kalangala with a capacity of, I think, about 1.6 megawatts. So we used that power consumption growth percentage to simulate how much it would be also in Kome. So we used a rate of 12. Now, again, with that information, it was important to refer to what the documentation we have in Kalangala highlighted. They basically highlighted that once they had the electricity system connected there, the hybrid system connected there, it was not obvious that people were going to take up or get connected to power. So they had to literally do a drive that promoted productive use of electricity. And this allowed for increasing consumption of electricity to about 46%. And this is also a very key point for us as we think about Kome, that yes, we might have a grid connected or a standalone system or whatever we choose to call it, but we will need to think critically about drawing the various entities to come in and connect to the electricity. Having looked at this information, we're able to develop a model that allowed us to look at the different categories. So at the residential, we found out that the consumption is about 30 kilowatt hour per month. And this was factoring in the information from the survey. At institutional, we had about 230. This was mainly because of the secondary school that had computers. So we had that, but we also looked at the total number of schools. We had mixed primary schools that we estimated that they had maybe some lighting. Again, that's open to guidance from you. Then the health center, what we considered there was, of course, refrigeration to help preserve what we have at the health center. Because when we went there, they informed us they have a refrigerator. But also we thought that there should be a sterilizer, since it's also one of the centers where there is a maternity maternity services exist. We also found that there is already a solar system there, although we were not given clear details about its capacity. At saloon level, here we're looking at an estimate that you would have a blow dryer at the very least, and that's why that figure is slightly high. At the very least, a blow dryer. Then the bars, the most key thing here was lighting and then charging of phones. Same with the eateries, the video areas, the shops was really lighting, and then of course the meal. The meal, when you look at that figure, it looks a bit small, because when we consulted with the owners of the mills that we interacted with, they highlighted that they operate for a few hours in a day. So sometimes from around maybe 10 to 3 and they are done. So that's why that figure is like that. With that information, we're able to look at what would be the demand for Kome in the year 2022 as the base year. And then we projected 20 years down the road, that is now 2042. The population, of course, was used here. We looked at information from the statistical abstract of 2014, and then we used the growth rate of 2.6 so that we're able to get projected value for 2022. And we used that population value to help us then get the estimated demand for the different years. We see that we will have a capacity, or rather demand, of about 0.6 megawatts. That's about 652 kilowatts. And that's in 2022. And then in 2042, it would go as high as 1 megawatt. Now, if you recall, again, this information was considering about, I think, five sub-counties or so, or parishes, both in Kome Main, again will stand to be corrected, and then another place. So we use the factor to find exactly the number or the estimated capacity that would have, or demand that would have, just in Kome Main, because it's there that you'd find a number of settlements within a given range of distance. So we decided to consider that, and we looked at these particular parishes contributing to the information that we got in Kome Main. And that's why you have the last column indicating to you that would have an estimation of about 0.3 megawatts in 2022, and then about 0.48 megawatts in 2042. With that information, we try to design a solar system for this area. And of course, the key components here we're looking at were, first of all, for Kome Main, factoring in that you have settlements, you have, residential entities, you have commercial entities, you have the grinding mills, all within a given distance. We thought that it would be one of the options where we can have a mini grid. And so we designed a system, first of all, starting with just the solar system, found out that we would need about 1,411 panels, of course, allowing us to get a voltage of up to 250, and the inverter, as well as, of course, the battery provisions or the estimates. That would mean we need to cover an area of close to 2,400 or 3,000 square meters. So if we try to switch that into special requirements, this would be something very critical for us, because we need to know, if we have such a system, where would it be located? Do we have that land? And what would it take to get it? Also, for our system, we decided to try to cost it. And again, you'll notice that this is just the solar system before we come to the grid. And the total amount that we got there was about $95,800 US. Again, I must emphasize that this is just for the system, for the 0.3 megawatt in the event that we consider Kome. That is minus all the other things I'm going to try to bring out now. Now, we have a system, but we don't have a mini grid. Why? We need to know where it would pass. Before we even start thinking of the mini grid, we need to know where would we have 300 square meters of land to put the panels at the very least. And whose land is it? Do we have permission? Will there be compensation required? When we talk about mini grids, as I think Ministry of Energy will come and emphasize here, you need to think about whether you'd need to carry out a project brief or environment impact assessment, because the grid will be passing through people's probably plots of land. And so we need that aspect of permission. And of course, that study would have to be taken. Nevertheless, we would of course try to assume, but it is difficult to assume with those anomalies. There are a number of anomalies there. Definitely, it would be important to estimate the length where this grid would be passing. And this is some of the information that we did not get very well, because during the survey, yes, we went there, we identified places that are being have solar systems, but in the event that we are supposed to, or we consider grid, we need to be able to agree with the Kome entities that, first of all, this could be a potential area for the land. Number one. Number two, there's permission on that. Number three, then we can start to mark where it would pass and what it would mean. Of course, the engagement would be necessary. Again, I think Ministry of Energy will come and guide us a little bit more on that. Nevertheless, that's not to down our spirits. At least we know that we can have that minimum system. What is very interesting for us from our information is that we have people who've actually paid for solar systems, and you have quite a percentage that has paid until or used or pays for these systems to the tune of almost 1,600 euro and above. So that means that we still have a community that really wants energy. And even once we factor in the information about the mini grid, what it would cost for us, where it would pass, its length and all. And once we use the feed-in tariff that has been considered for solar, according to the website of ERA, it was 7.1 USD cents per kilowatt. Once we consider that in our economic evaluation and financial evaluation, then we should be able to conclusively discuss the aspects of the viability of a mini grid in Kome area. Now, from that information, there are some gaps that we have to think about and also input information. We need information, of course, about where this mini grid would be located, whether there is land, permission aspects, and then, of course, ownership. These are key aspects. Also, that would inform how we would move with the mini grid along that area. The other thing that is very critical for us to also look at is the aspect of registration of businesses, because during our visits, we found that people were responding to questions. So someone is, first of all, responding to question as a household owner. And then they tell you, by the way, but I also own this business and I own the other one and own this one. So it becomes a little bit difficult to kind of delineate some of this information. So it would be helpful if we have actually registered businesses. I am sure that information is there. So it's just about retrieving it. And we know that, okay, there's this business, because it then gives us clearly indicative information on opportunities for productive use of energy. Things like refrigeration of this milk that we are already producing, things like how much coffee is actually coming out of Kome, and in what state is it coming out, so that we can preempt or rather estimate what we would need to process it so that doesn't come out in the raw state. Things like how the quantities of rice coming out of there. All this information would really be very helpful in fine-tuning these computations. Then also, with some of this registered information, would be able to clearly delineate about the growth rates of these specific categories, because you can estimate for the population and all. But then when it comes to the businesses, it is only from your side in Kome that we can know that in this year, we had this number of businesses. Next year, maybe, I don't know, 70% closed, 20% increase. This information becomes very critical for projecting specifically for each category that this one is growing at this rate per year or per month or so. Then it may be important to think about also the discussion on having a hybrid system, because as you are aware, solar can only work for a number of hours a day. Yes, we are in the tropical entity, but we can attest to some of the changes we've had in weather. So like we've done in this last few months, when it is cloudy, you may not get as much as you expect to get. So you need provision of energy that gives you some kind of base load, that you will not have a lot of fluctuations in the course of the year. Now, when we look at information on hybrid systems, they can be pretty expensive. In Kalangala, you have a hybrid system that has both solar and a thermal. So you're using oil as well in a generator to generate electricity. Now that can be expensive, but then if we are going to attract people to establish businesses in Kome, and then you are having months in a year where there's a lot of fluctuation, then of course that also could result into closure of some of these businesses. So this is also a critical question to answer for us. It is clear that when we look at the information in Kome, or rather when we visited Kome and collected the data, that there are very many opportunities, especially for the productive use of energy. There could be opportunities in irrigation in the mainland. You have definitely the aspect of processing of milk. I think from preliminary discussions, we're informed that certain farmers are losing quite an amount of money because they cannot preserve their milk. The maize is in a boat where people were bringing everything from Mukono, including dry ratios like posho. Maybe some of this could actually be done in Kome. Yes, there were 2 mills we visited within the mainland, but they also informed us that sometimes they have to wait for fuel to come and then they can use that. So is it possible that we can enhance these productive use opportunities? You saw the picture on fish. Right now, this fish is being dried on the ground. That means, yes, you're putting canvas, but it's still on the ground. That means the quality assurance aspects are of course questionable, but maybe we could also consider refrigeration of some of this fish and then be able to transport it to the mainland when it is in a state that is has not yet deteriorated. So these could be areas of utilization of energy. I don't know about the nuts and seeds, whether we have this growing there, but there was also mention of coffee. So again, it would be good to know what are the quantities. I throw in these pictures just to show that, of course, the solar discussion is not new to Kome, but we need to think about having this also in other schools so that you have a scenario where people can at least do their prep work. So you have these solar systems in this secondary school. You also have computers in this same secondary school, but it would be good to see these in other entities and also to understand how this has influenced, I could say, does not influence migration from Kome, because from our first discussion with some of the stakeholders from Kome, they informed us that many people leave the island and go to Kalangala and the like because there are productive use opportunities for businesses. So if we have more schools having these facilities, what would that mean for Kome? Here we have this grinding mill that we visited. What for me is of interest here is again the aspect of how much can we do here? We can only do so much. Yeah. So if we are able to have more than one grinding mill, one grinding mill working for more than a number of hours a day, then I think there are certain things we will reduce from getting from.
Thank you, Miria. Yeah, colleagues who've had the presentation. Our major issue that we want to really look at is to do some bit of decolonization of how we perceive solar energy or renewable energy. Colleagues, let me first pose a question. Can watching a television and lighting a bulb lift one out of poverty? But that has been the philosophy of solar energy. Let them get a bulb to see, let them charge a phone, and let them watch a television. Those things are good. They provide life with some ambience, but they cannot lift you out of poverty. What we need is productive use of energy, like the work that I've talked about, milling, refrigeration, and all that. Now, the number of professors have been working on this. I know there are other players who have engaged the ministry. We have professors from South Africa in the University of the Western Cape, led by Professor Antoine Bagula. We have some other professors in the universities of Belgium. Of course, we've had our colleagues from Germany. There have been working on solutions on how to solve the problems of Africa, especially the intertropical region. We have our unique problems. Our homesteads at times are clustered. So they have come up with what I've called the global energy supply system in a way of clustering villages or locations and say putting them on some form of a mini-grid. When you look at Lake Kome, 17 islands. I know the ministry also has they have used that as a case. They have used some island in the east as another case. How do you put all those different locations on one global system, energy system? So they have created a clustered system where each of these, for instance, will be a cluster. If this is a Kimi, we have another one, we have another, and have another one. So those will form their cluster and they'll be put on their small mini grid there. But the uniqueness of the technology here is that, sorry. Sorry. Disappeared. Okay, the uniqueness, new technologies are going to be very applicable. Of course, it would be Professor Matthias Chamukungu or Professor Bagula. Of course, they're working with the global energy system in Uganda. One is the monitoring of that system by this satellite technology. And then two, using the blockchain model, it is IT based, to ensure that the households share the batteries. If you have 100 kilowatt hour system, then this can be shared among a number of villages without households running their own panels. So we have panels centralized somewhere, then the households will be given or they get what we call a smart energy box that has energy that can be used for productive use. Some of this is being implemented at our neighbor in Malawi. Ethiopia is also doing something. So it has a lot of literature and a lot of paperwork that this agency has shared with the ministry. I know they have approached the ministry to see how a pilot can be put in one of these locations. Just hearing they have unique features. We don't want to go full blast. Can we do a pilot? We study, of course, our universities do the studies now. How successful is this pilot before we can get into the scale out? So those engagements are there. And I know Mr. Semaganda is here. Maybe you may make a hint on some of the procedures and processes that the ministry has taken. So that is one of the suppliers that has registered interest to bring uninterruptible, affordable, productive usage energy in the country here in Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Now I would like to take the opportunity to invite Mr. Henry Semaganda to give his speech.
And the audience, maybe you can hear me. Just would like to say thank you for being invited. And now I have to leave. Okay. Okay, the worthwhile audience. So thanks a lot for your contribution. Thanks to Stephen for your comments, and thanks to Miria for your excellent presentation about the the research work we commonly had undertaken when it comes to the electrification of the remote islands. Unfortunately, I have to leave right now, and I wish a fruitful outcome of the whole conference. Greetings from Germany to everyone, and hope to see you maybe anytime soon. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Good afternoon, everyone. Do another introduction. I'm Engineer Henry Semaganda. I'm representing the Commissioner Renewable Energy, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. Of course, this is my first time to be here and to interact with you on this development. Formerly, I've been working with the rural electrification agents, and I think you know the government decision of merging government agencies and some ministries. So we were merged back to the Ministry of Energy. And actually, this is my first second month of in the Ministry of Energy. But this is the actual area we have been dealing in at rural electrification agents. And I appreciate that the university is doing a lot of research in this area, because this is where I've been dealing. And that's why I've been sent to come and give a highlight on your developments. I thank you. I thank the university for what you are doing in the area of rural electrification, because of course we're having a lot of missing gaps, especially on the islands, because islands, those are hard to reach areas. But of course, government has not abandoned you. We have been thinking about you, and I appreciate the university for engaging the ministry on the developments you are doing. Although you didn't engage rural electrification agents, which was actually mandated to extend or to electrify all the areas in Uganda, rural areas, including the islands. So before I comment on your presentation, I'll first give a brief on what government is doing in that area. So like I told you, we had the rural electrification agents area. I'll specifically look at which was mandated to electrify rural areas. Of course, REA was also under Ministry of Energy, but it was some independent agents. Through extension of grid or renewable energy sources, through standalone systems and mini grids. And I was in that department which was dealing in renewable energy extension, electrification using renewable energy. That's why I'm now at the ministry in the renewable energy department. So at ministry under renewable energy department, of course, we support all the developments in renewable energy. When I talk about developments, I'm talking about electrifying or extending electricity to areas using renewable energy technologies. So it can either be through standalone systems or mini grids. So to bring it back, REA was there, but now everything which we did is now under Ministry of Energy. So I'll talk that now Ministry has done it and what we are planning to do. So of course, some of the renewable energy sources, we are looking at biomass, solar, hydro, and now we have another technology, a new technology called green hydrogen. It's also coming, and we are also going to pilot it somewhere on one of the islands, Buvuma Island, the green hydrogen mini grid. So it's also coming, but the common ones are those ones, biomass, solar, and hydro. Of course, the goal of government, of course, maybe I would have begun with this, is to have universal access of electricity by 2030. So by 2030, we think that everywhere, everyone will be having access to electricity, whether from grid, whether from standalone system or mini grids. So islands are part of those areas which are going to have that universal access because you are part of Uganda. So now specifically, I will go to what we are doing, the solar systems. So in the solar systems at the ministry, of course, we support standalone solar home systems. We support mini grids, mini grid developments, solar or renewable energy, and then generation. We have also some generation plants. You may think that we have only hydro, but we have some big generation plants which are feeding to the grid this electricity we are using. It's a mixture of various generation systems. We have even some solar generation plants. So under solar, those are the things we are doing. And under standalone, so I'll talk about each under the solar. Standalone, when I talk about standalone, I think you understand where a person, you buy your own solar system and put on your rooftop what these professors and the doctors have been talking about, what you are using currently in Kome Island. So that one, we all know that it was commercialized. It is open market. It was opened to private developer companies or a private person. You can go and sell your systems. But as government or as ministry, we have done something, especially to see, because the problem with the most of those things is standards. You find you buy your system, they tell you can power this, but you end up not getting a good what they are telling you. The problem is in compromisation of the standard. So as a ministry, through World Bank, we received funds and to support that area. And I know since this is a university, it could be also resourceful in one way or another, maybe when some students could be doing some other research. So we under that, we supported the dissemination of standalone solar home systems in Uganda. Specifically, we together with UNBS, because we are not the one who are responsible with the standards. So we supported UNBS in this process, because that funding came through the ministry. and through us, we went ahead and engaged the UNBS who are responsible for standards to do all these things. So we established a baseline status of the National Quality Assurance Framework related to a plug and play solar home system and Pico solar. So plug and play, most of those people I know in the villages, they have plug and play. When I talk about plug and play, you just buy your system with a wire, some wiring thing, you just put in, then you have a light. So those are plug and play, and those are the common ones. So we assisted in the improvement of the standards, and those standards are available at UNBS. So if you require them, I will of course connect you to the contact person who are dealing with that one. Then also we assisted in the development of a quality assurance framework for component-based solar home systems or solar systems. That one, we are looking at bigger systems, including even mini grids, where we developed system design guidelines and system installation guidelines. So also those ones are available. So that's what we did on the side of standalone. Then moving to mini grids, rural electrification. As a ministry, we have done a lot. You know, when I talk about ministry, I'm not looking at the other only ministry, but there are other key stakeholders, where REA was also part of it, Rural Electrification Agency. But now, since REA is now in the ministry, so we are now a ministry, including the regulator. We have the Electricity Regulatory Authority. So the university has clearly defined a mini grid for you, and I know from Kome, now you understand what we mean by a mini grid. You have a centralized generation plant, then you distribute to different people or to different locations, and you have a connection like the way we have the connections here on grid or on the main island, on the mainland. So basically that is a mini grid. And here, this is where we have a lot of key players, including private. We have a lot of key players. Of course, we have government. We have private sector. That one is playing a very big role. We have public institutions, like the way we have also may have just learned. I've learned today that now you are part of us because you have been engaging with a lot of private, government, institutions, not government only, institutions, both locally and globally. Locally here, we have been engaging with the Makerere, Chambogo, and now UCU. Globally, we have very many universities we have been engaging in, like University of Southampton, University of Columbia, very many universities, and we have done a lot in this area, both at research and at implementation. So it's a good thing that now the university is also, the Uganda Christian University is also part of that circle. So we really appreciate that. And bring it, we developed a master plan. When I talk a rural electrification master plan, Ministry has a rural electrification master plan, which is defining, like I told you now, we are mandated to extend all to rural electrification. So we have a master plan, which is it's like a guiding tool, like the way you professors or what you have, what is it called? The one you use to know what you're going to lecture. Program, something like that. So even as we have a guiding tool, yes, it's called the rural electrification plan. And that plan is defining areas where we can extend grid and areas where we can extend, where we can use other solutions, renewable energy solutions. Like, of course, for grid, that one is mainly looking at the mainland, but even on the mainland, not all areas it is viable to extend grid there. No, not all. Like I'll point out in my next presentation, I'll tell you that there are some areas which we even selected, which were selected, electrified using mini grids on the mainland. So don't think that only islands are for mini grids. So that master plan also defined areas where we can extend electricity using mini grids and standalone solar home systems. Of course, for standalone solar home systems, we mainly look at the scattered settlements. If we are scattered, so we cannot put for you alone, maybe a transformer for you alone, serve you. It's not financially viable. Or to put a mini grid for you alone. So for you, you have to go for the other standalone solar home system. Specifically to the mini grid, our master plan mapped over 500 sites or towns we electrified using mini grid solutions, and specifically solar. Like one of the presenters was saying, a mini grid, you can have a mini grid for hydro, but hydro, it is site specific. You have to be having a running water, a source within that community. But for solar, here in Uganda, we are blessed. Anywhere you put, you'll have your power. And now I've been telling you, of course, we have some mini grids for biomass gasification. I don't know whether you have heard about it, where we can use the waste, whether human or animal, even forest, what, agricultural products, generate electricity. But again, those ones, you have to be having the source of the biomass. But those ones are not common, but mainly here we are looking at solar mini grids, hybrids. And like I've told you, we have over this master plan mapped over 500 sites, including islands. And when I talk about islands, it includes Kome Island. And I really appreciate that the university has the information that the island has Kome has 17 islands. That is good, but all that information we have. In the line of mini grids, ministry or government has done a lot, and we are still doing a lot. For example, I've not heard the university because there are other key stakeholders you have left out, which you need to consult. For example, we have the regulator. Electricity Regulatory Authority is a very key player, especially in the operation and maintenance of the mini grids. Actually, they will be the one in charge. They will be the final people to give you permission to do a mini grid. You cannot do anything before them accepting. Because even grid, they are the people who are responsible with the operation, supervising the people who are doing all those things. So in your engagements, maybe you could include a regulator, not only the ministry, because at the ministry, I can give you only information on the areas where we are going to electrify. But at the regulation, they will give you other things, the required information, what you need to do, what she was talking about, the environmental impact assessment, the what, all those things. So they will be able to give. So we have done a lot. I know my brothers from Kome, you know, there are some islands which have electricity. You don't know where they are getting electricity from. Some of you maybe have visited those islands, or you have not visited those islands, but you're hearing, hey, maybe Kalangala, they have electricity. How do they get electricity? But I will not give Kalangala, because Kalangala now, although she has done it as she has used it as her case study, we are going to connect, actually we are connecting it to the national grid using submarines. So submarine cable. So that one is no longer going to be off grid. But there are some islands where it is very, you know, submarine cable is too expensive. But due to government interest, maybe there are a lot of developments, we need to give them some strong power to power those things. So, but we have some other case studies. For example, we have Lolwe Island. I don't know that you know Lolwe Island. Have you heard about it? Some people call it Dolwe. Yes. We have a mini grid there. We have Chitobo Island, a mini grid there. We have Bokassa Island. We have put a mini grid there. So, and we are doing mini grids. Now, these ones I'm talking about only on the main island. So we have some other mini grids which are operational. Like I told you that, yes, islands are hard to reach, but there are also some hard to reach areas on the mainland. And it's good. GIZ is part of this project. We are doing a lot with GIZ in the mini grid sector. One, we just completed a project with them in northern Uganda, Lamo, where we implemented 25 mini grids, solar, and all those mini grids are now operational with over 3,000 customers connected. So that is a very big plus. Also, maybe you can use it as a case study. I had also her talking about WWF. Yes, we did the project with them. We did some 6 mini grids in the western part of Uganda, Kasese and Rubirizi, and all of them are operational. And so many, like I told you that even we did some more mini grids with universities. With universities. Thank you. So now let me talk about the projects in the pipeline. We have projects, like I told you that we have a master plan. When we developed a master plan, government went ahead and look and solicit, we got funds from different developmental patterns. we are planning to electrify all the islands, and we already the funds are there. So I will not say that what you are doing should stop. It can just boost what we are also doing. But including Kome Island, we have already the funds for putting mini grids in on those islands. I don't know. So that's why specifically I think I need to know which island, but I heard you talking about main island, and it is one of the islands which was selected to be electrified using this project. So it is funded by KfW, and already we are under implementation. We are getting a consultant, and we hope by 2024 we shall have the developers to do the mini grids. Maybe the university can come in, or you can get a developer pattern with, and you also maybe participate. Or if not, you can come on the side of ministry. You participate through us in the developments, or we can introduce you. Otherwise, the funds are there already. We have the funds to do electrify all the islands. When I talk about all, it means that all those which are not electrified, the funds are already available. And we have also, we give out some islands to some developer who developed the island, but those ones are mainly on Uvuma side, Equatorial Power. Also, as ministry, in that project, we have some productive use of energy. It's good that I've had the university is also considering productive use of energy, but you left out one thing. What we realized that on those islands, since the main activity is fishing, you have to look at the ice plant, because I know these people, they get their ice from the mainland. So if you think about putting an ice plant there, it's a way of increasing productive use of energy. It didn't come out properly. So also you need maybe to look at it. So basically, as a ministry, we are willing to work with you, or if you need any information, but in terms of implementation. But the good thing, you are saying that you haven't got the funds, but even if you are to get the funds, maybe if this project has already moved at advanced stages, maybe we can get for you another project to do that. Because the good thing, the studies, like you did the case study for the island for Kalangala, they are comparable. So maybe for now I'll stop there, and maybe I'll come in when there's anything we need to clarify. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Henry, for that wonderful brief. And I think I'm very happy that Engineer Henry is telling us money is already available. So I think people in Kome should be smiling. Maybe what I could say that we hope that that should come soon, because there is really great need of energy in Kome Highland. But also the fact that you also accepting that we partner with the ministry, I think that's something good. And as you see, we are willing to do that. Then there is something you mentioned about the ice plant. In fact, while in Germany, we visited the KTI. KTI is a global manufacturer of ice plants. And I think Dr. Professor has the contact, and this gentleman, the owner, was also willing to partner with us. Now I would like to invite Dr. Chakulumbye to take us into a session of reaction and discussions. And after this, maybe we'll invite the cow to say something.
Thank you. Yeah, let me also join the House to thank Mr. Semaganda for you have relieved some of our our burden. When we first engaged the COME, we almost failed to get data from there because they were saying we have been asked these things and nothing has ever come out. The colleagues we went with, you remember? They almost said, no, you are not going to do the study from here. So now that we have something that is almost going there, I think we can now able go there and put on our life jackets every week and visit these people. Thank you so much. So it's time for questions. You can make a comment. You can ask a question. We have lifted the entire lake, like Lake Victoria, the ministry is here. Let us ask whatever we need to ask to hear from him. So just put up your hand and then you'll be given a microphone. We had the second one. Yes, Kenneth. You are normally loud man. Do you need a microphone? No. Oh, it is there, it's coming. The mic is coming.
I wanted to come around there.
Okay.
Okay.
You are senior commercial officer?
I am the senior commercial officer of the district.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Protocol observed for those of us who are here present and physically, and the team in German, we send you warm greetings from UCU here. My name is Mutege Kenneth, working with Mukono District Local Government as a senior commercial officer, charged with the Department of Trade, Industry, and Local Economic Development. I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to Uganda Christian University for really taking up the mantle to understand the importance of working together. At least Mukono team, we can clap for them. There are so many local governments that are failing to deliver services, yet they have somebody who can do this for them in a blink of an eye. Like now, the people of Kome don't have electricity, but the university is doing research. They are on the aeroplane going, they are coming back, they are telling us. And for us, we are making reports that you keep quiet, power is coming, even tomorrow it's coming. And the people of Kome clap hands. All of us, we must be aware that electric capacity is a transformative investment that target different forms of infrastructure. So for me, I have some observations which I want to make. They are not questions. Since we are implementing this project together, we would suggest, because this is my personal opinion, that at least on these banners, an emblem of the government of Uganda appears somewhere in the corner. Just take a note, even on this, at least people can have some bit of comfort that we are in this together. It looks to be very small, but it can add value to our political leaders. Yes, that's one. Two, I have written here 3 things. Number one, we have conceptualized the solar mini grid in Kome. Number 2, a feasibility study has been done. And number 3, we are at the stage of dissemination. However, to a reasonable population that may be needed at this particular time. But as we are moving forward, because we are not going to go back, we need to start carrying out stakeholder engagement, because one of the knowledge I have obtained from Dr. Chakurumbi, a project can only be successful if stakeholder engagement is emphasized. Right now, we should start, as we are waiting for the funding and ABCD, at least the Council of Kome, right from local council 1 up to local council 3, they should start feeling that fire, that you people, you know what, the project has come and it is going to help you. 2, whereas Madam Cow is the other side, now the senior management meeting, the TPs of the district is aware about this. So we need to start finding a way of notifying DEC, the district executive committee, as we are moving forward. Then there is this issue of continued buy-in. You know, there are some areas where people can be double-faced. Here they are showing you, you're appreciating, then the next day they tell you, very expensive, tetuja kubisobola n'ebirala. Tuyinza kukola tutya nga bwe tukola kubina ebirala okwongera okunyweza omukago n'ebirala. Abantu baffe bali okubayinga in ekintu kino. Akalala, this was very important. The electricity which is coming, other than Dr. what you said, that does having a bulb and watching a TV lifting somebody out of poverty? And we say no. So the electricity which is coming, one of the major people it's targeting are the businesses. You saw ebyenyanja, amata agannyogoga, seeta y'abakyalo okulongoosa, ne gombola yennyini, you saw the sub-county. It does not have power, if I can speak the truth. So what is the level of business formalization in Kome? Maybe we can pick interest from this meeting here, that Madam Cow can task the sub-county chief of Kome to provide a register of the businesses they have, and will cross-check their level of formalization. Because doctors, we are giving out this power. A trading license, a national identity card may be one of the things the project may require in order for you to get electricity. It's good enough you observed it, and we have picked interest. Then another one, from your own observation, what did you see? Is the community ready? Because from the word go, this mini grid electricity is not going to be for free. People have to buy it at the end of the day in order for it to be sustainable. The other one, doctor, we need to we need to slow down on the English we are using. Kubanga abakulembeze baffe bonna oyinza okusanga nga bano abazze wano oluzungu bo balutegeera naye ate bali abalala nga tebakola ki nga tebamanyi. Kyenzudde ekiremeseza projects zino ezisinga abantu oluusi ebigambo bijja nga tebabitegeera. So our continuous engagements, especially in the community, it should purely be in a local language.
Okay.
Those are the observations I had.
Thank you. Kenneth, Kenneth, I know I have the project members. Please, project members, stand up for recognition and you pick it up because it raised a number of issues. If you have a reaction and a response, please, project members. Okay, good. So you can come in, Miria, Jeremy, and please. The issue of the logo, I think that is very agreeable. As a key stakeholder, we had the presentation that had a district. I think a district is a good representation of government. Huh? Yeah. So that one we've taken note. The social engagement, ladies and gentlemen, raises a very important issue. And we found it when we did an assessment. One time in CP where there is hydro, people had completely denied, refused the developer to put a line there. They had to come, you have to look for people, come and engage the other community. It is very hostile. So we went 1 full week. We were there. He was part of them. Buku. Until people saw real results, immediate results. But energy is good, especially solar. Within a month or two, something is lighting. But now here they are looking at cranes, lifting very heavy things and putting very long lines. You say, when is that? Oh, near future, 5 years. I said, no, we want what we can get now. Until we address that, the community. So that one is really point noted. Colleagues, send a response to, yes.
Yes. To add on the engagements. Yeah, when we are implementing rural electrification, when we are beginning, before implementation, we engage the communities. And even at implementation, we engage the communities. So we have a team. And actually that team, when you are doing the engagement, depending on the group we are targeting, we use the language they understand. We cannot use English. Fishermen is there. Either Luganda, what, depending on any region. Because we have a team of people knowing all those languages, so we ensure that we put somebody who knows that local language. So that one I'm talking on the side of government. Then about the what? The refusal to do the projects for mini grids. Actually, I didn't talk about land. The land is acquired by government, either through we buy or the community can give, or there could be some public land. We first look for the public land. If that public land is within the location which we think we can put the mini grid, we go ahead and discuss with the concerned people within that community about that public land to use it. If it's not available, maybe we engage the community. If you can give the land for free, we also appreciate it. But if not, we go ahead and buy it. Then there is that passing of electricity lines, poles. That one, we engage the landowners because we just pass the electric poles. At least to give access, because this electricity is benefiting all of you. I saw some other thing which okay, stakeholder engagement we have already highlighted.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Simaganda. Please, on that team, you have the team.
Yeah.
It is our humble request that on the team include Uganda Christian University as a potential team player that can do engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. This question is to you, engineer. We would like to find out if you can be able to share information about estimates for the mini grids, because having gotten all this experience, we're trying to look for this information online and we could not get. Yes, we noticed that mini grids are very versatile because you have to think about the land, the what, but they should be a rough range of estimate that if you want to put 1 kilometer of mini grid in Uganda, be prepared to spend this much. I think that information will be very relevant to help in some of these preliminary studies. Also, the other is a request for information. You've spoken about very many documents, something about a Rural Electrification Authority, I think master plan, and a number of other documents. I'm wondering whether this can be accessed on the ministry's website or or on other platforms, because again, we recognize that now REA has been folded into the mainstream ministry. What happens to all these documents that you compiled over time? Can entities like UCU still be able to access them? Because we are looking beyond just this project. We are looking at our students actually getting more involved in some of these research works and also being part of implementation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Milia. The metrics first.
Sure, sorry. My other question is to COME officials. I don't know, maybe it has already been answered, but what was pertinent for us is the land available? And what would it take? Because even as we are writing the documentation, we still have to indicate that this could be areas where maybe further guidance and input from the ministry can come in and all. So is the land available? The land ownership aspects on the island, what are they like? Can you share with us this information? The other was about the businesses, because I believe that there is an officer in charge of registering some of these things. Can we share this information so that we have an understanding of what could be the potential productive use options? And then we can be able to try to estimate that a little bit more conclusively.
Okay, thank you. I was given 30 minutes, we've used already 15. I think 2,000 square meters is like what? 50 by 100. So let's first give the officer, then I'll come to officers from COME.
I will begin with the information. Yes, I told you that REA was merged. Doesn't mean that information was disappeared. We moved with all the information, so it's the ministry information, and that information is public. You can get it, but of course you should know who to go to. But the good thing, you have me. You can get that information. Then the estimates. Yes, I can give estimates, but I will also maybe request you to, I can connect you to some of the existing mini grids, use them also as case studies to see how, especially the recent ones, and see and compare the cost estimates. But I have also the estimates. Yeah, basically, I don't know whether I've left anything.
No, you have answered. Yes, Mr. Subuga. Etaka liliwo.
Thank you, Doctor. I would like to respond to these queries. First, you remember when we had the stakeholders meeting with the leadership of COME, they promised to make sure or to provide the required land for installation. You have to remember. Only that they are waiting for the size. Now, since we know the size, we shall go and present to them the size, because at that time we didn't know the size. That is number one. Number two, it was about the gaps identified in Dr. Milia's presentation, especially for production data. I would humbly request that Madame Milia or the project leadership writes to our boss, the cow. The cow will be able to request that information from our SARS or the SACAO, whom you call the sub-county chief, and that data will be readily available because it's there. She also mentioned that during a period like we are in now, where there is not enough sunshine, the mini grids might not be able to provide enough power. So I don't know what plan does do you have? Is it for putting up how are they called, the solar bank power banks, to be able to keep power? Because we don't want to establish any ice plant. We don't have enough power, and the old spots, that then the business will be out. Secondly, in this project design, can you also think about something like the hydro mini grids? Because there are some few rivers across Kome which can supplement. I don't know. I'm just thinking loudly. And I think that's what, second, it's about, the lastly is about landowners giving access. I remember still in that stakeholders meeting we had in Kome, the Kome leadership also agreed to support the project through that. We are able to hold community engagements for the good of the project and for the good of the community, able to let the power be accessed by different institutions and the beneficiaries. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nsubuga. You did not introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry. My name is Obed Nsubuga. I'm the sub-county agriculture officer for Kome sub-county and also sub-county production officer. That means head of production. Kome, you are all welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Obed. Maybe one of the developers that I'm really sure of in the design, energy backup is one other critical component in the design. Moshoti wave. Mwami Obedi abadde atuusiza okutya kwa amasannyalaze omusana we guliba tegumala ng'oluusi gubeere Kome. Tetuteekeyo bintu nga really bitutunuulidde butunuulizi bw'ebiti. Kyemadde nga nti okutereka amasannyalaze kye kimu ennyo ku issues enkulu mu ba developers oba mu bateekawo projects ezo. Naye of course the ministry has an issue maybe ayinza okugattako naddala developer wabanga ate agamu era agayingiza eri obanga ageeterekedde.
Yes, era nga bw'oyogedde nti in these projects, always when we are packaging the projects, take backup, very, very important. Kubanga omusana ekisooka gubeerawo misana. Ekiro omusana tegubeerawo, so mubeera nga mukontinue nga mubeera n'amasannyalaze. And some of the mini grids, especially on the islands, to take a component, zibeera hybrid. Kubeerako a generator, standby generator, nti omusana guyinza okugaana okwaka oba ne gutaaka bulungi. Ne mutuuka ssaawa nga 3 nga batteries zikoze ez'ekiro, batteries ziweddeko. Eno generator estartinga n'echarginga batteries. N'echarginga batteries, kati then ne mukontinuinga nga mulina amasannyalaze. So always, waliwo plans, there are always plans. So tubeera twagala, tubeera twagala mubeere n'amasannyalaze nga mugenjoyinga, nti gamba nti mbadde ntandise okunyumirwa amawulire ate amasannyalaze gabuddeko. That's the plan of the government, and that's the plan of the developers. I mean the developmental patterns we have is to have a 24/7 electricity supply.
So webale nnyo. Wali njagala okuja ku maloboozi ga bassentebe kubanga mmwe oli wano wekka naye abantu beweetese ku mugongo sibamala bungi. Ssebo ssentebe akazindalo kaakano.
Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to react. First and foremost, I would like to thank UCU for owning this program and also for giving Kome Islands an opportunity to develop, because I know when power comes, Kome will not remain as it was. Secondly, I would like to ensure you that when planning, don't only base on the businesses that are there, because there is a lot of other businesses that shall come in after power has come. For example, for me, I do apiculture. I rear bees and produce honey. But this honey, in harvesting, I produce it locally with my hands, just pressing combs to produce the honey. But we have machines that extract the honey from combs, and thus you end up getting pure honey, pure, 97, 98 pure, without some other inclusives, because our hands are dirty. The utensils we use sometimes are not purely clean. So these machines are there. We can have access to them, but we don't have power to operate the machines. So I'm very happy if power comes, then my business is going to boost. Secondly, recently, I'm a counselor in one of the parishes. There's a women's group that has a plan to produce starch, but the machine they have to use in producing starch from cassava needs power, which is also not there. So please, I ensure that there are so many other developments that need power that are going to raise as soon as you bring power to Kome. My question goes to, what is the projected price of electricity? Because we are hearing power coming, power, but we need also to know the costs so that we prepare ourselves for that. I believe even when we take the information to the communities, that is one of the basic questions they will raise to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor from which?
I'm a councillor from Sanga Parish and basically the Secretary Finance, Kome Sub-County Council.
Thank you, Sebo. Tweyanziza nnyo. Kankole ku kisoose ekya okulowooza ku business ki. And in fact, in one of our research direction, we are now saying, yes, the feasibility is done, all that is done. Now, during implementation, we want to put something. And at the end of it all, what you Twitter or constructing a baseline, eyo katujirina. Katwagala tudde tupime, waisewo mwaka gumu oba ebiri, esatu. Business ki endala ezizeewo olw'amaki? Era zikyusizza zitya ku mbeera y'abantu mu kitundu. What are the economic impacts are there because of this energy? So ffe tukyali nammwe senga ministry etugamba nti mugende mukole ne Kome. Sebo webaleka ayogere ku kya estimation.
N'okwongerezaako ku ekyo, Dr. Kyabadde agamba. Mweno project gye mbagambye tulinamu esente mweziri ezigenda okusupportinga abo abaagala okutandika businesses endala, kati nga kyoyogeddeko abakyala biki. So productive use of energy, it's within that project. Nti project ene ejja kubanga either kijja kusinziira nga tukusasulirako ekitundu oba nga bakuwa ebyuma ebyo weetaaga, then nobeera ng'osasula mpola. So it is part of that project. Ekyamasanyalaze nga bwe mbabuulidde nti sente ezimplementinga projects weeziri era twazifunye okuva mu Bagermany. Era ekirungi nti even UC is working with the German, but the other is a bank called the KfW, and it's a grant. Grant sente zikubakuwa buwi. So government bajiwa sente. Tetugenda zizaayo nti oba tuzza amagobo baki. Then mpozi ne government neyongerezaako akasente. So nga government nga bwe muwulira omukulembeze w'eggwanga bw'ayogera nti always baagala abantu okubeera nga bakozesa amasannyalaze nga tebanyigirizibwa mu miwendo. So tusuubira amasannyalaze ge mugenda okubeera nago gagenda kubeera comparable nagano agali ku mainland. like eno getusasula eno nga nammwe eri kumpi ge musasula. So n'ekirala ware gyabadde nayo nti n'ekirala ekyagunda ekyebyuma kuba eno project ebeera continuing developments zibeerawo. Ekizibu kyagano amasanyalaze tekiringa gano. It's not like this electricity we are having. Nti go bwe tugeneratinga oli bagatwala wona we baagala naye gano tugageneratingiraawo ate mugakoleraawo. So kijja kibeera kibi nnyo okukola ekintu kati kiringa nga bonobeera mu famire yo n'ofumba emmere y'abantu 10 ate nga muli bantu 5. Ekitegeeza nti obeera oyonoona. So that means fumbe y'aba5 bwe munaaba nga muweze 6 oyongereko. So ye beauty ya gundi ya mini grids nti zo continuing nga wabeerawo demand yo naye nakyo bola doctor abagambye nti era wajja kubeerawo okukola ki okujja okwasesinga. And even then era ne bwanga tazze era within a day or 1 week tubeera tulaba ye lwaki amasannyalaze ennaku zino generator egendako mangu biki nga tumanya okay waliwo demand increase in demand, then that means there will be a need to expand the plant. So kye kirungi ky'amasannyalaze gano. So tetubeera na ware nti amasannyalaze tujja kutuuka ekiseera nga tegatumala bikino because there is a room for expansion.
Thank you. Sebondoza bakuzzemu bulungi. Okujjako ng'oli alina ware nga kati omukulu gye yagambye nti waliwo gye bataamaapinga. Abondooza bajja kuyiiya naye sikoome ebizinga oba ebifo simanyi oba tunaatuuka 100% ente ya Uganda. That is the desire. Naye kuwa rough estimate Mary ababuulidde nti Koome for instance yeetaaga kilowatt hour bweziti per day, then compute that per month. Kaakati katugambe nti mulina unit ebawa kilowatt hour 3. Omuntu ayinza okuba nga olunaku nga n'okufumba afumbye, I don't know. Someone can take 1 or 2. Okay, around there by electricity. So katwezibanga ziri 3 nga mwe mukozesaako buli omu amaka gakozesaako oba emu oba 2. Kitegeeza weetaaga abantu 10 bameka bateekewo unit ey'emu. Kati njogeranga ku eri technology omulala. Kati abantu abo bajja kubanga beegatta for instance bafune $1 eziwera 10 nga mmeka 2. Kati abo mugabizaamu abantu 15. Byomaleze nga mmeka? Ba mitwalo ameka mubenga musobola okukola cluster yammwe eyo ey'ekyalo ekyo sinzira n'ekyalo ekiriko kubanga batteries zino engeri gye bazimanufacturinzeemu ezimu Anasemaganda mulimu eza 3 kilowatt 3, mulimu eza 5, mulimu 7.5, mulimu ne10. That is on one of the developers zogera ku balala oli gwenjogeddeko. So nkozesa ekyo ekifaananyi okuwa kye wandisuubidde. Naye mukulu what is the cost of a polo service? Kati ngende waffe ku lukalu. Yes.
Polo service kati ebyo tetukyabyogeraako. Ndowooza mukimanyi again government tulina a policy called the free connection policy wadde twafunamu challenge. Nkimanyi mugenda kubuuza abasinga nti how comes bena bali ku gundi tetunabakola ki naye twafuna challenge because of COVID, then that program was somehow put on hold. So government nechi opening up negamba oli abeera yeetaaga amasannyalaze mu bwangali wadde mu kusasula naye nga I'm assuring you nti for the island or for any new project or like a mini grid tuleka nga tuconnectinze buli omu abeera nga atuukirizibwa okubeera nga connectingibwa kuba mweno project nga bwe mbategeezeza nti it is fully funded. Actually mweno project tulina even a component abatasobola kuwayaringa amayumba gaabwe tugenda kuwa red board kabeera ka board nga kuliko socket n'ettaala emu naddala abo abantu abali ku gundi ku myalo abali mu buyumba obutono omuwa boodi free of charge then ne connection nga ya bwerere. It is part of the project. So basically kyengezako gamba nti as you see we have a lot of information for you, maybe for the communities okubabulira nti eno project yo egenda kubeera 100% funded. Gwe kijja okubanga weetaagisa maybe kusasula application fee eyinza okubeera maybe mitwalo ng'ebiri, kijja kusinziira what the regulator will decide. Ng'osasula application fee n'okusasulira amasannyalaze g'okolaki okozesa. Kujjako nga gwe oyina ennyumba yo nnene oba kati nga bw'onootunulira nga sub county oba ki eyo kikyetaaga red board, abo babeera beewayalingira egundi zaabwe. Kuba yo government egenda kuprocuringa egenda kugula bino just muno abantu okuyambako abantu abaavu aba wansi oba I don't know. Yes, okufuna amasannyalaze era buli omu ajja kubeera n'emita ye. So all this information tujja kuba tujja, so temukoowa and we shall always engage you. Mulaba kati university yeze naye ate olulala university eyinza obutagirako ne babeera nga bantu balala baze abagenda okubeera nga bali mu mmwe, abagenda okubeera nga bakola operations nga naddala nga tutaddewo projects. So they will come again boogere nammwe. Then the regulator yennyini nyini nga ministry muli in a lead tujja kujja era twogere nammwe.
Sebo webale nnyo banne, njagala kuzeewo Kazinda naye nga sindakazaayo. Chairman nalabyo ba chairman babiri. Chairman kapa kumpeera Kazindaalo oba onaabuuza ku baabo babuulire ebifa gy'ova then tulyoke tuddeyo because of the nature of the group you represent, very big group.
Yes, I'm going to use Luganda.
Yes, sir.
Basewo ne banyabo mbalamusizza. Kituufu abatuuze amanya n'eddoboozi muweereza Moses LC1 Maala Damba Kome. Abatuuze project eyo naye nagibannyonnyolako kodda ey'amasannyalaze. Era bo beetegefu okozesa amasannyalaze. Naye lwakuba tetumanyiddwa galijja naye nga beetegefu bagalinze. Era nzirawo mbatwalira amawulire mbakakase nti eky'amasannyalaze kyawedde. Olw'ensonga eyo ebigambo sijja kwogera bingi, amanya n'eddoboozi muweereza Moses.
Weebale nnyo ssebo, weebalire ddala. Bakulu mwebale nnyo okuba abateesa abalungi. Saba nzeeyo akazindaalo kano. Naye nga sigenda kazeeyo wa MC ansabye. The Chief Administrative Officer ajje abeeko kyabategeeza nnyo tukusanyukidde.
Yes, no spraying. There's no COVID in ECU. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we had a heavy breakfast, so I thought we would have a more heavier response to our UCU, the GIZ. I want to pronounce that name of the university.
University of Applied Sciences.
The German name. Nohum. Yes. Yes, Nohum University. Our supervisors are from Ministry of Energy. My colleagues from Kome Fraternity. I am by the name of Ndagire Jessica Nsobya, the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer. I bring you greetings from the district and appreciation, of course, especially to UCU for the thought and consideration of working together with the Mukono district local government, especially in boosting service delivery. We greatly appreciate this consideration, especially to the people of Kome. First, I'll be general, because when we look at Kome, being an island, a number of people have water phobia. And this has happened to even other development partners. Everyone, when you mention that, when the moment someone comes in and you suggest going to Kome, and someone's like, Kome is an island. No, Madam Cow, let us work within, around, at least we need to go by what? But when you go to Kome, the first time we went to Kome with the team from UCU, didn't you enjoy Kome? Kome is very beautiful. It has the tastiest cassava, and the fish is what? Is very delicious and so lovely. So it is very important that we should always stretch. And you know, when you stretch far from where you can, where you think that you can get a good response, you can even shudder when you get to another area that is as close as Nama, and you don't get that reception that you get when you're in where? That you can get when you're in Kome. Because to the people of Kome, to the people of the island, this is taken as a what? It is taken as pride. Eh? And you're saving them out of something. But to Nama, it is like, yes, this is something government ought to have done, ought to have produced. It must have come to give such a what? A service. So it is always very important that we share out. And of course, to us as a district, we don't take this lightly. To our people, because we know this one comes, it relates to a lot. Mr. Ntege talked about, of course, the issue of about local economic development. When we get this power, we shall boost local economic development a lot, in a way that when you find that recently we were there last week on Thursday for World AIDS Day, and you would see that people really are eager to have, at least to incorporate, to be incorporated in all government what? Programs and projects. And so once we have this, and right now, the very good news is today we are receiving our ferry. This is something that is going to boost our movements to where? To Kome. Now people, remember the last time we went there, you land, then you have to walk, because there is no any other means apart from walking and doing what? You walk, or you either walk or use a motorcycle. But now you can go with your car and move around. So this is something that also government is planning. We already received a motor ambulance, a boat ambulance. It is there. You know, service is getting what? And if we can receive this power, I was getting confused. Is it electricity or power? What is it? It is energy. Isn't it energy? What is electricity? What is the power? What is energy? So if we have this power, we know it can boost a lot. Especially, UCU has its dream in line with education. And of course, once you boost that in education, then we shall be boosting even the status in the communities. Once we have these other children staying longer in schools, then we shall not have early dropouts. Then we can also have a number of our Bakome competing for jobs elsewhere. We can have them compete. The reason why they don't compete is because of what? The lacking of some of these resources. You know, we are fulfilling the SDGs. Do we share these resources equitably? Equal opportunities. It is also one of our what? We have our core values. One of our core values is talking about inclusiveness. And once we have this, we shall have an inclusive service provision. So we shall see a girl keeping in school. Remember when we went out to study, where for the first study, you'll find, you ask someone where your mother is, where your parent, especially mother, kumbe it is the mother herself. You're asking a girl, child, please, can I talk to your mother? Eh? And then someone's like, but I am the mother. Eh? And for you, you're thinking it is a what? It is a minor. And indeed it is a minor, but circumstances. Recently during AIDS Day, I was sharing, he seemed to be, of course, grown in the seed school, and he was still around during holiday. So he was like, you know, I am here because I have to help out in order to keep in what? In school. This is the service I render for me to do what? To partake of a service of education. And it's like, I lost 2 years because I didn't have enough money. I had to work for 2 years when I completed my senior 4. At least I managed to mobilize some few resources. Now I am back and I must complete, and I want to go to university. And he's not coming from that main island. He's coming from another what? Another island. So I know we have those people who have that zeal and they can compete. When it comes to my workers here, a number of them don't want to go to Kome. Reason, you know, there are a number of these fancy things that are out on the mainland. And if you want to make, and we are looking at upgrading Kome Health Center 3 to a Health Center 4. And a Health Center 4, it must have a what? The facilities, it must have a theater. A theater, the more we upgrade, the more cadres, the higher the cadres that we have to recruit. How do you retain them in Kome? By providing some of these is what? If they have these essentials, someone has the power, someone can tap in that. You know, it is about every time someone can be able to touch his what? His phone. So it makes the climate an environment that is able to be what? To live in and do what? It is, you know, when you get there, it is quite different. Some people are like, when I go to Kome, how you even find the way someone is imagining, maybe the other people have different skins, the way they, but when you get to Kome, it is, some of them are far even better than us. And they're very proud of, by the way, they are very proud of their what? Of their location. That is why they prefer referring to them as Bakome. For us, Dabachi, Dabakome. Reason, they are very proud of that. So I am very grateful, and as a district, we are very grateful to this. We know that ministry is also coming in to support, to take on this. But of course, this one should not stop UCU. You know, this information that we have received today should not stop us from vying for what our dream is, what is all about. Let it not stop us. The ministry may talk on the mainland. There are other 17 islands. Then we can also have another one, another island. Like for instance, we have the capital city of Kome is Chimmi. This is our capital. If the ministry is at the mainland, we can take on Chimmi, and Chimmi is the capital, is the Kampala, because they already sell Tugenze Kampala, isn't it? When the Mukome tells you I've gone to Tugenze Kampala, someone is going where? Someone is going to Chimmi. Elizabeth, you heard about what the nightlife of Chimmi when we were at Ngamba. It is throughout the night. It is an active what? An active island. The music and what? Its only challenge is it can be affected greatly with wind, because it doesn't have any trees around to curb on the what? But at least it has a good what? The life there. And I know it has good prospects. And when we get this ferry, you know, previously we had challenges of ferrying these construction materials. But after a ferry, on the whole island, we have how many cars? 1. We have a car. There is a truck. I remember even the boat which they used to ferry it, it was specifically manufactured to ferry that what? That truck. And immediately it landed, it got what? Broken down, but at least there is a truck. One on the whole what? And now that when we get a ferry, we shall start seeing those what? A number of them. And a lot of businesses have done what? Because a number of people are now eyeing Kome. Especially, you know, recently there is luxury. People want to relax. And there is nothing as relaxing and soothing as relaxing on water. Moving away from this polluted what? Environment. That is why we really need this power. As the people of where? Of Kome, Ministry of Energy. We need this power. Actually, we needed it yesterday, such that we can also get on what? Nafe tuweremo vibe. You know? That is what they should also feel the vibe. What is happening, what? Elsewhere. Because I am very certain they can accommodate, they can afford. The chairperson asked about the tariffs. As we give any opinion, chairperson, at least we should not give information that the tariff is going to be as this. We cannot determine a tariff now. It is only an approximation. That is why we consider a unit. And it is an approximation. You know, we have to always be careful when we are giving some information to our political leaders, because from here they will relay the same information. And then at the completion of a project, you come demanding for 2,000 and they will shun the what? The project. Fe chairman yatugamba meka? Yatugamba 1,000. Mulesa abachi? Ababbi. And even these issues of talking about it is free. I liked the way you brought it, that you are bringing in some disclaimers. But when you mention that it is totally free, that is also some statement that has also disorganized some of us as technical officers and government workers. You mention it is completely free. And when a team goes, because you're mentioning as a ministry, it is a completely free project. And yet, you're also sub-granting others. Then the other agency comes in. If I'm digging up to so much meters, mine is digging up to 30. The moment it goes beyond the 30, you must pay. And then Ministry of Energy is saying it is completely free. So you can imagine the confusion. Let us try to ensure that as we give out, especially that word completely free. Completely free. That is the reason why we are actually even losing out on, even when it comes to PDM. Someone is told it is completely free, even photocopying their national IDs. Even photocopying a national ID, they will tell you the president says it is completely free. Even producing their what? Passport size photos. Someone comes and tells you, we are told that it is completely what? They cannot even photocopy their national ID. Even produce a what? A passport size, because it is completely what? Free. So it is very important that we should not excite them. Naturally, if it is something is completely free, then they don't have any attachment. How shall it be sustainable? Someone must part, even if it is 20,000. That is already connecting the person to a project. But anything completely free, impossible. Can you get anything completely free? At least you take time to walk to the Gombolola. That is also a contribution. But when you tell them it is completely free, that is the reason why the Olora is called these parish chiefs. Since it is free, it must be you to walk to our villages to do what? They don't even walk up to the sub-county to get knowledge, because they are told everything is what? Is free. So Ministry of Energy, let us prepare them in a way that they can part with something. Of course, as part of their what? Connectivity, like we have indicated. If we are connecting you, it has to be only 2 bulbs. Beyond those 2 bulbs, you have to pay something. This one has to be put in black and what? And white, because it is understandable. Even water, they can extend water to a certain level. But if you're going beyond there, then you have to part with what? With something, much as it is considered to be what? To be free. So, but I'm very certain, like the chairman indicated, the people of Kome are very positive and eagerly waiting for this, because there is a lot of businesses that are going on in where? In Kome. And once we get to this, even the value of land, we'll appreciate steady fast because of power. I know a lot. We will do what? We'll do that. But my major emphasis is about education, and especially keeping this girl child even in school. We have noted that we have less of them. Even here, much as we consider, even when it comes at the district, when you look through that, you're giving a quota to Kome, you can fail to get anyone. From where? From Kome. The reason, because they fall out in what? And yet they are very bright what? They are very bright children. I think because of eating fish, they are very healthy and what? And bright. I really thank you so much. I know we have been in this together, and UCU, we shall continue. We thank you so much. Of course, me as a team and our technical officers, we are very, very much appreciative. I know we have, the moment I always come from me, I always share with my political leadership. But like Mr. Antege indicated, we should at least organize for a visit, a team of at least a visit during a DEC meeting, and we share with them to bring them on board such that they can hear it from you as a team from where? From UCU. At least these meetings, there is all these meetings, they can even have twice in a week. So we can at least book in on one of their days, and we have this shared. But I believe that this is workable, and I believe it is already a low-hanging fruit. The people are very eager, and when it comes to the land, and it is better that we do it as fast as we can, such that we do what? They can be able also to partake. Otherwise, the moment we get into, that is the reason why wherever we get there, even during the last, the World AIDS Day, a number of them didn't turn up because they're like, we must first be assured that the dignitaries are present. And once they were informed that the RDC, the chairman, the CAO is present, that is when they boarded to come and attend the what? The function, because in the past were always maybe not getting there and getting to an extent of not even apologizing that we have not been able to do it. People are like, no, I'm not going to that, to the waters. But I thank UCU very much. I know we shall have quite a lot of challenges. And since this is a study, to each and every one of us, we are part of this. To each and every one of us, we are part of this. Let us ensure that anything we update, and if we are critiquing, let it be a positive criticism for the betterment. Isn't it so that this is not a final? It is part of what? It is a process that we are trekking together. That is us as a district and even UCU. Let us ensure that we give those positive criticisms such that we can be able to move. And where they wish to have data, my colleagues, I am calling upon us that let us give it time. We are into the world of giving real-time data reporting. Let us provide the data and do it once and for all, and then we'll do what? This is not a UCU. I am reporting now this, challenge with us. Sometimes you're like, that is a UCU project. It is our project with the support of what? Of UCU, but it is a Kome project. So I am calling upon us colleagues that let us ensure that we work together with UCU and give the necessary support. And it is always better that we do it faster. The challenge is we always have these transfers. If we don't make it faster, I remember that by the time we started, we had another sub-county chief. who was so much into it. And then we had another transfer. The other one who came in Jude, he's now on promotion in Buyukwe. The other one was equally a water person because he's a born of Uvuma. And the way he had moved, he was very fast, and so much into it. Then right now we have a different what? So if we don't move faster, every time we shall always be getting new officers, and then we get back to the drawing board, and then, people don't really appreciate the things in the same manner, and even the passion, because they're also human beings. You could have had someone with high passion because the person is an islander like Jude. Jude really wanted this so much. He was like, at least even if I leave having accomplished this one project, I would have scored in where? In Kome. Now he's in what? He's now in Buyukwe, though on a promotion, but we lost him a lot. I know the people interacted with him. We lost him a lot. But now we have another person. I know he's equally good, but it also somehow deters our way of what? Of progressing. I thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to that date when we shall meet our DEC members. And also, even in our TPC, I can have at least 2 people come to our technical planning committee meeting, and we share such that we can bring everyone on what? On board for purposes of planning. I thank you so much.
Thank you. Now I would like to call in Professor Elizabeth to make the final remarks. Yeah.
The university leadership here, represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Affairs, who is present here as Mrs. Oluka, the Director, Academic Affairs, representative from the Ministry of Energy, the Commissioner of Renewable Rural Electrification, Renewable Energy. Thank you for the correction. The representative from the Mukono local government, Deputy Kao, Ms. Jessica Nsobia, the representative of Good Neighbors, the different authorities within Mukono local government, colleagues and well-wishers, and those who may be online, would like to thank you very much for honoring our invitation to come to this dissemination workshop. Would like to thank you very much for I would like to first extend our gratitude to the district, which hosts us, by the way. You may not realize it, but if you told us to get out, we would actually have to get out because you are the ones who host us in this location. So we would like to say thank you so much for the open door that you have given us to work with you on different projects. This is not the only one. We're also working on other projects in health. Would like to say thank you so much for receiving us warmly. And also we would like to thank the Ministry of Energy. We actually started engaging with them last year, the year before. That was actually 2019. It was 2019 before COVID. And as Madam Jessica was saying, things change. COVID happened in between there. Different officials have come, others have gone. For example, we had officials who were given to us from GIZ, but reaching back again, they have been moved and they are no longer, things happen. So it is very important to understand times and seasons. And while we talk about that, that's what I was thinking about while I was seated there. We're in a season of Advent, a season of expectation. I'm imagining this is what it must have been like when people were told the Savior is to be born among you. And everyone says, when will the Savior come? When will he come? Where is this child going to be born? You know, this is Christmas season when we ponder over that, but it is the same for the people from Kome who have waited expectantly for electricity. And we have received good news today, which I'm very thankful for. Engineer Henry, sorry. I'm confusing the two names. The gentleman behind is Richard. Yes, he has given us good news with even a timeline, an expected timeline, that by 2024, we shall be having electricity, hopefully, if everything moves according to plan, in Kome. So that is, I think, something that we should have clapped our hands for with great joy. Because beyond opening up the businesses, beyond opening up, and today I have also got to understand that there is a ferry which is being launched. Before we were going there in the motorized boats. So there are great things happening in Kome, which we are very happy for. And we remain hopeful even as the electricity comes there, that the transformation that is already starting for us, our entry point on this project was education, that we will be able to help the youngsters and even the adults, because we're not looking at only school going. There are parents that need to be trained. There are business people that need to be trained in good business planning. There are many opportunities for development. We hope that we can be able to work hand in hand with you about. We are very thankful for that promise that's coming from the government of Uganda. And we hope that from this time forward, we will continually engage with you, Engineer Henry. Firstly, to get updated with what has changed since we last interacted with the ministry, and then know how to plug in so that we can be a support for you in the process of bringing the electricity, hopefully training technicians, and many other things that we can possibly do together for the island of Kome. We are very thankful for the promise, yes, that comes with the Ministry of Energy. We would like to apologize about the banners. I'm sorry. We pray that the next time we have these banners, we will have all representation fully on them, to include the government of Uganda as well, because they are key stakeholders in this. And we look forward to the continual engagement with the District Executive Committee and also the Technical Planning Committee. We look forward to the engagement with you and how we can support you as a university. We feel obliged because beyond teaching, I think it was Dr. Chakulumbi who was saying, or it was Dr. Waiswa, that beyond teaching, a university exists to provide service to the community around it. So we pray that you will never feel hesitant where you need support in one way or another. In any small way, we can mobilize locally, but we can even mobilize internationally according to the challenge that has been thrown onto us. It is our obligation to be able to support you, because when you thrive, we will also thrive and the whole district will grow together. And so as a university, we would like to pledge our commitment to the Mukono District Local Government to support it in its initiatives, development initiatives, especially towards attaining its development goals, but ultimately also to make the world a better place, attaining our sustainable development goals. I would like to thank the project team very much. There are very many people behind the scenes you may not have seen. We have Dr. Waiswa standing here behind here. We have Dr. Miria, who is the engineer specialist on the team. We have Dr. Chakulumbi on that team. The administrator, Madam Mildred, would kindly ask you to stand up and wave. I'm sure you have all met and interacted with her, Mr. Isoka, who comes in once in a while. So we would like to say thank you to these people who have made it possible. This specific project has come to an end. It was just supposed to generate information, which we are going to share with the district, because what we were able to share here is just in summary, but we are going to come up with the full report, hopefully early next year, and ensure that the ministry gets a copy of it and the district local government gets a copy of it, including the sub-county chief, because it will also help you in your planning, because these are actual statistics that can guide your planning. There's a lot more data that we have than was presented to you that can be very useful for you in your work. Would also, as I conclude, I would like to say thank you to the university for affording us the environment to be able to reach out. So would like to relay our gratitude to our Vice Chancellor and the top management in that respect. As I mentioned before, the project has come to an end, but the engagement with you, we believe, has not come to an end. We're going to continue in other aspects as the opportunities arise, but also through the Ministry of Energy with respect to electricity at Kome. We will be interacting with you through the Ministry of Energy. Would like to acknowledge GIZ that gave us the support for this project, essentially to do community engagement and the feasibility study. We thank you so much. And as we end this meeting, would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Do make sure you give Mildred a handshake as you go out. You're wisely counseled to do that. As we go for our lunch, yes, Mr. Antege, you'd like to pray for our lunch? We thank you. Yeah.
Maybe before I pray, Doctor, I would like to inform the university that Mukono District Local Government, it is one of the few districts in Uganda that now have a local economic development strategy. So the university is invited to tap into that opportunity. It is very rich, very broad. So you come and use it. You can use our local economic development strategy to write any project you want. It's very open. We shall make sure that we share a copy and you tap into it. I had created somewhere forward here, but because I'm very mindful of time, you will take time and read, Doctor, as a team, and you, maybe I will pick two. This one has given us a lesson that local government should start doing what we call land banking. Land banking is very key. And secondly, people of Kome move very faster to get a physical development plan for Kome as early as possible. The rest we shall share. Can we humble ourselves and pray? Mukama Katonda kitaffe omulungi twagala okwebaza olw'olunaku luno olw'otupangidde okwogera ebigambo by'enkulaakulana kubanga by'osinga okwagala. Ensi wagitukwasa tugyongereko omuwendo oba oli awo tusobole okugibeeramu nga yeesiimisa. Nakati nga tugenda okwawukana, katwawukanire mu mukono gwo ogwa ddyo ogw'obwa Katonda bwo, tusigale nga tukyakomawo ku UCU nabo nga bakyajja, bwe tugenda mu Energy, bwe tugenda e Germany, bwe twetooloola ensi yonna, bwe tuzimba Koome, emirimu bwe gijja, abavubuka okukola, okusoma n'okugenda maaso. Nga tugenda okulya ekyemisana, Mukama katukirye, ate tukolemu ebyo obwakabaka bwo obisinga okwetaaga. Byonna tusabe nga tuyita mu Yesu Kristo Mukama waffe. Amen.
No, I think you called someone, you said story candidate, sent me. Yes, I've given him a lot of concrete financial.